Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Good for Business podcast. I'm Colin Krieger. I'm your host today with my good buddy Bo McKee is my guest. Talk about the Possum Town chapter of the White Tails Unlimited Banquet, Thursday, August 20th at the Trotter Convention Center. Hit us. Tell us a little bit about White Tails Unlimited, a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about the event.
I'll sure do it, Colin. Glad to be over here with you. My name is Bo McKee. I'm chapter president, White Tails Unlimited, Possum Town. I also do two more, so I got my hands wet with three different banquets. We do 22 in the fall together, but, you know, my three are local in the Golden Triangle area. This is my fourth year to do this one at Possum Town, and we did move it this year to Trotter, try to make it a little bit, just to change the scenery.
Yeah, Trotter Convention Center is pretty big. It's been at the American Legion in the past, because I know the first time I helped with it, it might have been 2018, 2019?
Y'all did 2017 and 18 when it was done before. So, yeah. And it was a good place. I mean, I like it up there, but Trotter's a little bit more fancy. We're going to try to go somewhere different just to look at it. You know?
Class the place up a bit,
right? Class it up. And, man, we got some good crowd coming, but like I said, this is our fourth year, my 10th year in Whitetail, so I've been associated with Whitetails quite a bit, but we're pushing for a decent little crowd to come, and it's hard to get people come this time of the year. Nobody's thinking about hunting, but hunting's around the corner, so.
Yeah, well, we've got, you always got the part with hunting season, and then August is tough for everybody. Whether you have kids in school or not, you tend to go broke by August. You've spent your money during summer, you bought cool stuff. And people have gotten the habit around not going to social events because June and July isn't real big social event stuff because so many people are gone. And then you have what I call trickle-down economics is when gas is $4 a gallon, people may go to Zachary's less. Then the manager at Zachary spends less money with going to the grocery store, and the guy that runs the grocery store spends less money sponsoring a soccer team.
That's correct.
And so this is sort of a reintroduction to the season, and it's good to get into it before you get into all these other competing events that come in later in the season. And, of course, getting somebody during hunting season is pretty tough, too. So.
Yeah, that's right. We have to fight other sporting events, basically athletics in school, so we have to work around those because – people want to support their kids, so, this comes second to kids. So that's why we work with these dates and try to get it to where we can get people to come and not pull away from what they do. So we had to look at these dates, and sometimes I've got a couple events that's going on, and people are like, man, that's a bad day. I'm like, well, it is for Oktibbeha County, but for Lowndes County, it's a good day. So
yeah, well, I talked to a lot of people this time of year who are planning events, and I help out with a bunch of fundraisers in September and October. And they're always looking at Mississippi State this, LSU that. I'm like, just telling them, like, guys, like, you're just going to have to pick a date. Yeah. And I said, if you're going with Friday, it's just good luck.
Good luck.
Once September and October start, most of them are hooked up with their kids for high school, or they don't want to go to a late night event because they're waking up Saturday morning to go find some of these whitetails. So we're going to talk about the event because there's people who will go to the event. Like, that's how I started, was Tony Hanna got me going just because it was an event, because it's fun to go to. But can we talk about what Whitetails Unlimited itself does and what you do before we talk about the event itself? Because there's people like me who will go to an event just because they got a silent auction, a live auction, they got the guns, they got cool things, and they could almost not care about the cause. But I do want to talk about the cause because y'all actually do have some fundamental differences from other organizations where there's something going on.
That is correct. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh, they're making money for this. Whitetails Unlimited was founded in 1982. The headquarters is in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. That's where I'm looking forward to going to. Brian Kittrell he's my boss. He's over the state. He's the state director, and he just got back from up there, and he's been telling me, Bo, you got to go. It's beautiful up there. So they have a mission, and basically they preach it to us, and they send us all these things. That mission is educational programs, like hunter safety, anything you can do to get people into hunting. And then you got wildlife habitat enhancement, and basically that is one of the things that they want to see you do. Put whatever kind of money you can back into the wildlife, whether it's plant a green field, take a buddy hunting, anything you can do to put it back. And the other thing is the preservation of hunting and shooting sports of all sorts. There's so many accidents happen in hunting. So that is they love to have that presentation. It's like, we go back to that safe hunter, it's all, any accidents can happen. So they don't want to get that. That's one of the things they don't want to see. So they preach, do safety. And so that's their mission. And then Whitetails donates to a lot of charities. That's the money. Everybody asks a number one question. People say, well, Bo, when y'all do that, where's all the money go? Is it just go and pay somebody $1 million to be a boss? No. Whitetail donates to all sorts of companies. Okay, just July the 6th, $97,000 was granted to Catch a Dream. That's a program that everybody loves, and they have this shed program that they take these sheds and these skulls and they take them and do things with them. But they donate to causes like that. Since 2006, there's almost $1 million, $950,000 has been to Catch a Dream. That's just since 2006, Whitetails has given to Catch a Dream. And I bring up Catch a Dream because that's one of my favorite ones that's not Whitetail or it's just a good cause right there. So when they donate to these causes, it helps out down the road. Now, over $4 million has been donated, over 2,300 grants, specifically to young hunters, youth hunts, just hunter support programs, stuff like that. But there's 2,300 grants have been disposed out from Whitetails. And that's just, like I said, it just goes on. And that's, everybody's like, yeah, but what do you do? How do you get money? Well, if it's something that you need money for a charity or we're trying to put a youth hunt on, you have to basically fill out a form, application, and they approve it or not. You're not going to always get it because there's 52 states and it's all over. So not everybody's going to get all the money. Now, the next thing is over $180,000 was donated just in Mississippi, just to our veteran hunts. There's a lot of different ones. I know we have a chapter in Amory, the Chad Hill does up there, and he has DTD Outdoors, and it's all funded with helping veterans. He's real big with veterans. So all our chapters do that. We have different places that we can take people hunting. We try to get disabled kids. We try to get kids that don't have somewhere to go. Or even you. I mean, you probably got plenty of places, but if you didn't have a place, you call up and say, hey, Bo, you got somewhere I can go hunting? I've never been. That's what we want to do. And that is what Whitetails wants us to do. My first year, I'll never forget in West Point, we had a real good banquet. A guy called me on the phone. We have this magazine, comes out every 2 months. And he said, Bo, I just like to know your plan. What do you want to do? And I said, my goal is I'd love to have 500 to 800 acres, set it aside, and have places to carry people hunting like that. He said, that is 100% what we want you to do. Any way we can get you a grant to help you do that, we want to do that. Now, he says, people will hit you up for donations. He said, I'm not saying don't donate to your local charities. If somebody needs help, donate. If you can get money, donate it. He said, like Le Bonheur Hospital, they give money to Le Bonheur every year straight from headquarters. So it's all of those big events they do. But that is kind of getting you up to what they expect us as regional people to do, to keep it locally. Now, we have, like I said, right now we have several different veteran hunts lined up we're going to do this year. I am in my third year of a place that we leased just for my banquets, and not just for my people. We got people come from other counties, other situations that they bring in here. Just like yesterday, I had one of the persons call me from another banquet, like, hey, I got a place up here that if you have 2 kids that want to kill a nice deer, bring them up here. But this guy's donated me some land that he wants some of the deer killed, but there's some real nice bucks on it. And he said, but he really wants to let some of the youth. And I said, like, man, hey, my son's 33. Can he be a youth? And he's started laughing. And I'm like, no, but, that's good. And that's what he's been able to do. They've had that banquet in Batesville for a long time now, and they work with these people. Now, like I said, that's from your local chapters, So.
Well, what I like from seeing, and especially getting to know you over the last year and stuff, and I've met you at a ton of other events, was that Whitetails is bridging the gap. So there's gaps in especially hunting education, land management. We talk about like wasting of deer and all these other problems where I'm starting to know guys at a state level, and like, I call them park rangers, but wildlife guys.
Right.
There's not 1,000 of them in Mississippi, and they don't have millions and millions of dollars to tell everybody
That's
everything.
correct.
So it is very, very likely that a large percentage of hunters, about a week before deer season starts, may read one article on any rule changes or safety changes or those sort of things, and then just go out. Because my understanding is in the first couple weeks of deer season, most of the citations that they write are for stuff that just changed.
Correct.
And it may have changed 2 or 3 years ago, but there's plenty of folks who ain't watching any Facebook, any news, aren't going to the wildlife websites and stuff and looking. And I think Whitetails does a good job of communicating that to people, both in the magazine and just socially. Like when you're at an event like that, and they'll be like, hey, by the way, you're not allowed to do this anymore. You're not allowed to do that. Or you are. They're extending the season.
Changing everything changes.
Changing limits and changing what you can plant and seed and all that sort of stuff. And to me, as somebody who's not really an avid hunter, that's interesting that, that I always like to see when the public steps up and kind of fills in and explains what the government's doing. Because if you're not aware, from the IRS to the FBI to our local sheriff's department, you're not allowed to I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Right. Well, it's a law, and it's a law that's been passed. And, and that brings up a good point right there, because we do have many type of people that come to these banquets. And just for my instance, we have a couple senators. I have Bart Williams in my Webster, Choctaw, Oktibbeha County area. He supports me. He supports my Whitetails Unlimited. Then we have Chuck Younger here in Lowndes County. Chuck's come to my Starkville banquet. He's come to my West Point, and he's even been to the Columbus banquet last year. So when you can get people like that, we get mayors, we get sheriffs, we get police chiefs, and we even bring game wardens. We'll have some game wardens come to those banquets, because if people see them there, they can say, hey Chuck, can you help us with this? Or, hey, Bart, this is in your county. Can we do this? Or if it's a game warden there, say, hey, clarify me on this limit, So it's good. We come together. The sole purpose there is, yes, to raise money. It is. I'm sorry, but that's what you do. But, and it's also to have a lot of fellowship, but you want to learn. Like you said, there's only so many game wardens. They're trying to hire every day, and they got a job to do. Sometimes you don't like the way they have to do it, but they got a job. But the people like that need to be trained like me. I mean, I don't see a game warden 2 or 3 times a year. So, if I see him and I got some question, I want to ask him. And that's what happens at these banquets. They're welcome to ask those.
Well, I also want to touch on the other part. Like the reason I got involved in all of this stuff, and part of the reason I met Tony Hanna, and part of the reason it's expanded to other charity events, and I consider him a great friend from Ducks Unlimited, Whitetails Unlimited, and now he's doing the New Hope Strong, which is essentially a hunting banquet, was that JTS Mortgage and Company, and they invited me to go to an event. So I went to Ducks Unlimited, never shot a gun, never been hunting, done nothing. Like 10, 12 years ago, city boy, moved up here. And not only was the upside of learning about hunting and learning about that community, but as a business person where you can be a sponsor, as small enough a sponsor as one auction or raffle item, but you can get a table and go in there and interact with people. Like I'm looking at the list here where you talk about Gary's Pawn and Gun and Security Solutions, and especially Bill Russell Ford, like really, really big business people.
That's
not
correct.
Only they're there, but think about the people that Bill Russell invites to the table.
That's right.
Heavy hitters hang out with heavy hitters.
And that's what helps.
It's a networking event also. And it helps because I've seen people who've met at these events who hunt every year together, or who now have a plot or lease land together because they met there and they found out some common interest and it felt comfortable. And there's also some value. I honestly think about half the people end up with tables probably get every dollar's worth they're out of it just in prizes and guns, and besides just the dinner, because it's a pretty high class dinner too. In my opinion.
It's funny you say that, because when you get a table, we have a sponsor prize. Like this year, it's like a 3-pack of knives, which is worth like $60-$70. And those people, when they get there, you don't think those sponsors, if they spend $750 for a table, they like, oh, I want to get what I got, and if it's a sponsor item there, you see them, they grab that because it's something special to have, because they know if you're not there, you're not going to get it anywhere. Some things that you're going to get at that banquet that you may not see. We get guns engraved. We do things for people in the community. Just like 2 years ago, Johnny Stokes here at Magnolia Speedway was, he was in the Hall of Fame for dirt late model racing. We donated a gun from the local chapter, had everything engraved on it, brought him the banquet, handed it to him, and it's like, you just feel good when you do that, because you're paying back to the people that's always supported you, which I've always supported him because I'm a big race fan. But back to the same way with hunting, my racing is the same way. When you go to those events, you meet people all over the world. Same way with hunting. People go to Illinois hunting. They go all over the world hunting. And that's lifetime ties, So it's not just locally Mississippi doing Whitetails Unlimited. It's other events everywhere. It's like with what we have going on, we have 3 in Florida, 3 in Alabama, and a lot in Mississippi, and then 1 in Texas that we have lined up this year just for, banquets. So we're not just in Mississippi, and we do scatter out around, and we get to meet those people. And, it's fun to see how other areas do things, how other people's hunt. In Mississippi, you can feed corn in a feeder, but you go to Louisiana, no, you better not open a bag of corn. That's illegal. So, like back to that game warden deal is like, you don't know, if you go out of state, you better find out what you can and can't do, because they're different.
Yeah, the people who I've talked to at the state level, I was down in Jackson for a couple of days last year, or year before last, when my daughter was interning with Delbert Hoseman and Chuck Younger, and I ran into some of the hunting guys, and I knew some people at the Wildlife Federation. That's what I was asking them. I'm like, hunting is different, especially from what I understand, Louisiana to Mississippi and Arkansas to Tennessee. There's big differences. And they compared it. They're like, well, you're a realtor, and they compared it to that. They're like, the forms are different. The permissions are different. The dates aren't that far off, but there's tons of different rules, and they brought up feeding the corn, Right, and I'm like, oh, that's just like a tenet of business here.
Yes, I mean, yes, we get that question all the time. I love my dog hunting, and that's just one of the things that we love to do. And everybody's like, oh, they're going to outlaw that. Here's the thing: if you outlaw dog hunting with deer, then you got to outlaw all the other hunting situations. So you have a lot of people that literally don't like the dog hunting. Fine, go your kind of hunting. But look at the revenue that these different type of hunting brings to your local business. Go down there to the co-op down here and say, hey, or anybody that sells pallets of corn, and they're like, hey, we're for doing away with corn to do any kind of feeding, wild hog, anything. What I promise you, those people at that co-op, they're going to frown. They're going to like, oh no, all the way down to the farmer that's selling this corn. Used to the corn just went straight to the market. Now it goes straight to the co-op. So, that's a lot of business, all from hunting. Different kinds of hunting. Your kind, whether it may be bow hunting or it may be dog hunting, it may be steel hunting, whatever you like. Whitetails wants you to do that, and that's why they push that. It's like we all come together and keep this because it's a good sport that everybody loves, but we just want to make sure it's always here for our future. I'm finna be 60 years old, and my kids are in their 30s, and I'm hoping my grandkids, they grow up and want to be hunters too, and that way it just goes on from now on.
Well, let's start talking about the event itself.
Okay.
This is Thursday, August 20th, am I right?
That is correct.
What time we starting that night?
We're going to start at 5:30. We're going to open the doors for what we call a social hour, that you kind of walk around and just see what we have on the different tables. We start selling chances. We give guns away, ammo away, different prizes. We'll walk around, start selling decks of cards. We'll start playing games and just anything you can to get in the action. You'll see what we have on the live auction. And then around 6:45, we get ready to getting ready to eat the meal. And so, we'll have somebody say the blessing, and then we'll move right on to the meal. And then we'll have, this year we got a caterer coming in that's doing it. And next year we may have somebody different. So this year we're going to have some kind of, I think it's baked chicken and, I can't remember
brisket maybe.
It may be either brisket or pork tenderloin. That's what it is. So, yeah, he's he brings that in
and dessert
and dessert.
And there's some drinky drinks.
Yes,
There's a way to get some drinky drinks if you need them.
That's right. We'll have any kind of little drinks that you want to drink. We get a lot of stuff donated, but any way we can make you enjoy the night, that's what we do for these people. And it's just there's law enforcement come, so nobody gets out of hand, and I mean, it's one of those deals. You don't go to the casino and waste your money. You come in here and you're spending money and you get things in return, and it's funny that always people come to these banquets and they'll buy a card off a deck and they're like, well, I didn't win. I said, well, when you go to the casino, do you win every time? No. I said, well, you didn't play enough. You got to keep playing to win. So same situation, but winning's fun. But that's one good thing about whitetails. When you walk in there, we'll have anywhere from 80 to 200 guns available, at that banquet. You can buy guns at cost or a little bit above cost. It's cheaper. And, it's just several things that you can buy from there. But that social hour goes to 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then around 8:15ish, we start that live auction. And when Brian gets to rolling with that, he likes to be out of there by 9:45. Now, some nights the crowd's a little bigger, and it may be 10:15, but if it's 10:15, he's getting cranky. So he wants to get them out of there. Because we know it's
Brian
a Thursday
Kitchell, right?
Brian Kitchell, that's correct.
And is the Whitetails Unlimited itself is a nonprofit, right?
That is correct.
Okay,
One of the largest nonprofits.
That's what I like to tell people is because you have two opportunities here to, at the end of the day, either spend some money and write it off as a sponsorship for your business or just as a donation for you personally or for your business.
Right.
And walk out of the door with a little pew-pew in your hand.
That's
I don't
correct.
know if YouTube's going to let me say the word gun, but I'm going to keep saying it. And that's an excellent way to work around it, and especially a lot of the guns. Some of the guns, I mean, there's very nice guns, and then there's some that are on the more affordable end. But, man, that's a great thing to get a kid or a youngster, or if you've got a friend working for you who doesn't, might need a new gun, get it cool. And I won, I think I won 4. I won a big one from a separate auction that you did. That was one y'all did from the pawn shop and for Palmer Home 2 years ago. Yeah, I won a pretty nice shotgun a couple of years ago from there, which was good because I'm just supporting the Palmer Home, and all of a sudden I end up with a cool little shotgun.
Well, we try to do different things. Just like my West Point banquet, we did some things over there for different charities, and man, sometimes you can do those, and you try to give back to that, so any way we can. And, and just like right now, you come on board and you've got a program there that we might can get some help there for, what you're doing, and what's the name of that program? It's
with Dusty and them Crossroads Ministries. Yeah.
Crossroads Ministries.
So Dusty Snyder works with a bunch of other people, Dustin Hemphill and others, and they have two different things to do: Bodybuilders Ministries and Crossroads Ministries. And their basic philosophy with them and D&D Construction is they'll take some guys coming who've been in a little bit of trouble, sometimes coming out of prison, sometimes coming out of drug court, put them in an apartment, but also give them an opportunity to work. And when these guys work, they're praying in the morning, they're eating lunch together, they got to do a certain amount of community service hours, they're going to 2 days of church a week, and they've just got them in this ecosystem where I've seen tons of these guys do that 6 months, continue to work for them. I've seen tons of guys do that, stay there 2 years till they're out of drug court, but it just gives them a nice support system. And
gives them a second,
by the way,
chance.
It's the same kind of dudes that go hunting.
That is correct.
And so there's some overlying parts of the community there, and it just it's a good cause, and it's nice to see that you and I got to talk enough this year that I was like, oh, you can help people that aren't directly related to hunting. There are things that are just helping the community, and there's so many secondary things where like, well, these guys are doing a Christian charity or this charity, but probably everybody in that group hunts.
They do.
You know what I mean? And so
just because they got in trouble one time, you don't wipe somebody off, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. There's only one perfect one. And, and with that deal there, it's like, I love seeing that. I met some of the guys, that done it. I was at a restaurant and somebody said that, that was Dusty. And, those people, they're good people just because they made a mistake. Give them that chance. So if there's a way that I can bring in some kind of charity, some kind of, benefits or some kind of money to help that's what we want to do. So a portion of this would go towards that, locally right here in Columbus. So if there's somebody out there that have not seen this and want to come to the banquet or want to donate money, it's going to go to that charity. You know, it's not 100% of it will go to it, but
let's talk to give people an idea of the three ways to give money, which are you can buy an individual ticket, you could sponsor one of the is it auction items, or go ahead and buy a table as a business or for yourself, right?
Yeah, well, we do. We have single tickets. We have single tickets for $40. Your spouse is $30. Child is $20. So you don't have to buy a table, you know, to come. But if you have a business and we have several different options, but our two major are a $350 table for 8 people. You get a sponsored drawing for one pea shooter there that we're going to give away. If it's 20 tables in there, you're going to get a 1 in 20 chance to win. And then if it's more than 20, we usually do 2 chances if we get enough tables. And then, you know, you get your sponsor item, and then you get 8 tickets. We feed 8 people with that $350. So people are like, well, you're not making any money. Well, no, we're not charging you as much to get in. We want you there. And my philosophy is I got to get them in the door. Brian's got to figure out a way to make money on them. And then to move up from that $350, we have a $750 table that comes with a pea shooter, we call it, because we want to put this on Facebook. I better not say that, but you know, it does come with it, you know. So there's different ways, and all you got to do is you can go to Whitetails Unlimited online, and you can click events and go to Possumtown event, and it tells you all about it. Or you can go to Facebook. I have a Possumtown Whitetail page on Facebook that we literally can. That's Brian calling. We got to get him off the phone. But and like I said, we do have other ways. We have smaller. We do have a couple people like, hey, Bo, I just ain't got 8 people to come. We have a $250 sponsorship that literally gives you 2 tickets. It gives you a membership to the Whitetails Unlimited for a year, and it also gets you in for the sponsor drawing and stuff like that. And we do normally sell 2 or 3 of those at each banquet. Like, I think we have our Ackerman banquet Friday night, and we got like 5 of those sold because, like, they're like, well, man, I ain't got nobody to come with me. What? I want a sponsor. So they do that. And then our next way of donating is we have an event guide, and on that page we have several different items. We'll have like 35, 36 items on the live auction. And if a person wanted to donate one of those items, like if this item costs $50 and your business wanted to pay the $50, when I get ready to sell this Hawk scope here, I'm going to say this Hawk scope is presented by this business. These business owners love to hear their name called, and, you know, it lets people know that they're giving back. So when there's 200 people sitting out there in the audience and they hear Bill Russell Ford is here and done this, they're going to remember that when they get ready to buy a vehicle. They're going to think, well, Bill Russell supported my hunting. Why would I not at least go talk to him?
Well, that's why I like this part of the event is because I always argue against this, that I don't want to give you $300 and be a fuzzy logo on the back of a T-shirt.
Right, that's right.
And here the people are getting some value for it. They're getting thanked and recognized both on that, and y'all also do a great job of usually tabletops and thanking them. Like somebody walking around and patting you on the shoulder and just saying thanks for supporting it is a big deal. You know?
Well, and we really, I emphasize that, and I love to see everything on a table. If I have 20 sponsors in there, I tell every one of my sponsors, let's promote your business within what I'm doing. If you have a business and you want to run a 10% off of an oil change, put it on a piece of paper with your phone number. We'll put it on every table and put it in front of people. I love to see that because I feel like that's advertisement for your business. You know, William Wells, very good friend of mine in Starkville, he's going to come on board because he's got a store here in Columbus. And he's like, hey, I seen just run up on him in the store, and I'm like, hey, William, you support my West Point and Starkville. I'm going to be in Columbus. He said, man, yeah, I'd love to promote my business. So, and I'm like, fix me up a flyer. Let's put it on there, 10% off or something, anything to promote your business. We do, during that banquet, we will call out every sponsor and let people know, because there is people in there that like, well, a good friend of mine from Starkville is Bobby Sorrell. He owns a flight and aviation school over there. A lot of people may not know that Starkville has a flight school. So if you're sitting in that audience and I'll call that name out and let them know who that is, then they're like, hey, I can go to Starkville and learn how to fly an airplane, you know? So we have so many ways, and and that's one thing that I've got to work on. And I talked to the lady at Trotter. They have big TV screens everywhere, and I want to try to get all my logos, hand them the USB drive, and they'll be playing those on the screen all through the night. And there again, you know, that to me, it really looks good, you know, because I'm supporting those. They
want a value for their sponsorship. I tell people all the time when they ask me for donations, I said I'm much more likely to do a sponsorship than a donation, and it's not selfish, but I have an obligation to my family.
Right.
So with any dollar I put outside of my family, and there's nothing wrong with a donation if it calls your heart.
That's right.
But if there's an opportunity for me to take a donation and make it into a sponsorship that gets me more business, that allows me to circle back around and give more money and be more supportive in the community, I feel like it's my obligation to do that. Rather than just stroke you a $500 check, is to put an ad out there that gets me another $500 so I can keep doing it. So. Right,
and that's so good. Is there's a new business right there in Hamilton, not a new business, Mitch's Gun Store. I'm affiliated with so many buddies of mine, Gary's Pawn and Gun, Tommy and Gina, and they do an excellent job. And then Mike just bought the one up there that I'm tied to our gun store in Ackerman that good friends of mine with Brian and Bart on. And so we go into all these. So I'm not trying to pull away from no other store, but there Mike is at Mitch's, and he calls me up and he said, hey, I want to come to that banquet. I want to promote my business. He said, I just want people to know that, hey, if Gary's don't have it, call me. You know, I'm just up the road. I want you to support your local store, but if you can't get it there, come to see me. And I think that's good that these places like that work together. And especially like with Mike Pearson at Gary's, he has worked with me tremendously. He'll tell me, he said, Bo, if you need something, call me. But that's businesses working together. And that's through this banquet that these people see, hey, that business is not trying to take my business. They're just trying to help their business grow like my business. And,
well, I think we live in a world of abundance, and the late Gary Dido is just a champion of that. And think of the legacy he's left since he's been gone. Like his daughters and everybody, they just could have just stopped being so generous, because he was generous past a fault, not to a fault. Yep. Bill Russell is the same way. Bill and his wife Pam are just to a fault, past a fault. They're really, really generous. And for that to go after his passing has been amazing, because Gary's just keeps doing stuff.
Right.
I mean, they keep doing the Ruger sale, but they also keep doing other things. As I said, my buddy cuts their grass. Same dude's cutting the grass. Same guys working behind the counter. They got the same standards and the same just support of their community here in West Point and in Starkville too.
That's correct.
Which I love businesses that lead from that.
Right? And me too. And I like to support them. And I've always bought guns from Gary's. You know, even though we have that, I still go in there. I mean, I'm not knocking him. Outlaw Sports is another one we have right here. We're lucky in Columbus to have multiple places. You know, Dylan has a very nice place there at Outlaw, and he's across the road from Gary's. He's not trying to pull business from them. You know, they do different things. You know, his big deal is bow hunting and, you know, and having hunting supplies, camouflage. And I like that, because it's not your competition. It's just like we're trying to give everybody what they need.
Well, I think of the little triangle they have now there with Rural King, because I'm sure the Outlaw, maybe at first, like Rural King's coming and they sell camouflage vests, but then you think of the people that are there.
Yeah.
And then, as my friend says, I let my wife go play with the chickens, and I stroll over to Outlaw and buy a few things. And if she stays a little too long, I know one of my buddies is really excited that Ollie's is there. Which Ollie's is about to open the next few weeks, like thrift store or like a chicken, what's it called? Dirt cheap. And, salvage type stuff. And he's like, I'm kind of excited because, like, we can go to Rural King, they play with chickens, she's going to go there. I'll have time to sneak to to Outlaw and to Gary's. And I can be back in my truck before she knows it.
Yeah,
with my ammo and a new shirt and stuff like that while she's getting he's like, is she saving us a fortune?
It is so good to have those businesses, I mean, so a lot of these towns are not privileged. I mean, Starkville, we don't have a whole lot of business in Starkville to where we literally can go to 10 different places and buy camouflage. We did that at Guns N' Roses there in Ackerman. We literally like, hey, Ackerman's small. There's a couple places you can buy camouflage, but let's get another place. You got the Octavia County Co-op. You got the Evergreen and Matson. They sell that product. So you're not competing with them. You're working with them to give that whole triangle right there a place to go. And I just love to see businesses that work together. And you go into Gary's, and you if they don't have it, I promise you the first thing they're going to do is say, hey, you ought to drive across the road and see if Dylan's got it at Outlaw, because that does work. I'm sorry, but when these hunters stick together, that's one thing about hunting family is just like your blood family. They will stick together. We may fuss a little bit at each other because some of them like a different kind of hunting, but at the end of the day, they get along. It's a big family.
Well, go one more time. Thursday,
Okay.
August 20th at Trotter. Tell them where to go to find tickets. I know they can call me. They can call you if they know us,
Okay.
or find us on Facebook.
And
Or Dusty Snyder,
Yep.
and or just let me know. But it's easy to find us. And then otherwise, where do they go online if they want to get involved?
Okay. The easiest way to do is just go to Facebook. You look at Possum Town Whitetails out on Facebook. It's got all the links. You can go right there to the Whitetail page. It'll carry you right to an automatic. You can buy online. You don't even have to call us. You can buy your tickets online, your tables online, and immediately it sends me a message saying, hey, Bo, you got this table sold, or you got these customers sold. So you don't even have to see us. We'll have your tickets at the door. Another good way is to go see Daniel at Four Seasons. Daniel's helping, so he'll have the ability to sell tables and tickets over there. I'd like to left him out because he is one of my members that helps us sell, and he's on the other side of town over there, and we want him to generate his business. So any way we can incorporate them to help sell tickets, and that's what we're doing. But that Whitetail page on Facebook, you go to whitetailsunlimited.com, and it's everything right there. We have all the events are listed by state, by county you can go to. Or you can just, look me up on Facebook. My name's Bo McKee, and I'm right there on Facebook. I'll be glad to help you. I'd love to get some more, love to get a crowd to come in.
All right, good deal. Thanks for coming today, man. It went real well. And, of course, I'm going to see you at the event in a couple weeks, all right?
That is correct. Thank you,
right.
sir.
Thank you. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger, and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no-pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.